That's what I'm doing.
This is my week 6 midterm, and I'm doing my speech on stress relief techniques
When do you want me to start?
now.
Oh.
Fail on the husband part. Let me turn this around. Here's my head count. That's my mom and dad. Say hi, Mom and Dad. That's my brother and his wife there on the bottom. Say hi, Mike and Sarah. And this is my husband's cousin and her husband and uncle.
Hello.
Say hi. This is Stuart, Danielle, and Chris. And they have Lola there too. And this is my husband, Brian. He's also my timekeeper. So that is 8. So I wanted to thank everybody for being here and listening. I wanted to start off this speech pretty simple. It's not too complicated. Pretty much is just a breakdown of stress relief techniques. How stress was discovered, how they've evolved through time with treating it, and figuring out new ways to be proactive with it in the future. So one of the very first things I wanted to show you guys, I did a little slide up. I'm going to turn this around so you guys can see it. Here's my slide, and it pretty much says you and stress, and it's got a really nice diagram of the body, and it says from head to toe, how does this affect you? So how many of you have ever felt stressed out over anything?
Ooh, your parents raised
Yeah, everybody's raising their hand. Great. And what does it mean, and how does it affect us physically and emotionally and mentally? And the question is, it affects it all different ways. So starting off, the main thing I wanted to talk about is your physical reactions to stress. You have higher blood pressure, your heart's beating faster, you breathe harder. So automatically, your physical part of your body is reacting to it. And then mentally, what happens when you're mentally stressed out? You feel like you can't think right. You've got a little bit of brain fog going on. You're worried about 10 million different things all at one time. So then that starts distracting you from other things. And then emotionally, when you're stressed out, how does that affect you? Well, it can affect you many different ways. Some people don't show it. They close themselves off. Other people get agitated. Other people get depressed. There's all different ways that stress affects you emotionally. And one of the things I found most interesting through my research on this is one of the CEOs for Psychology Today, his name is Norman B. Anderson. He stated that 75% of healthcare costs are associated with chronic illnesses. Now, something that is very interesting is stress goes hand in hand with chronic illnesses. People who have cancer, people who are waiting for organ transplants, all of those things are stressful. I mean, how else would you feel if you were waiting for something like that? And it's so funny because stress actually increases your possibilities for getting sick. It affects you physically. And where does stress come from? Well, we don't really know. All throughout time, people have said, it's an ailment. There's no exact wording for it through history, through different cultures. And there was one person during the 1940s and 50s, he actually did a study on this, and his name was Hans Selye. And he was a doctor of organic chemistry, and he attributed it to something called general adaptation syndrome. So it just reflected on how easy somebody adapted to things that were happening to them. So there's a quote by Paul Roche, who was also working with Hans Selye, and it says, "Stress, in addition to being itself, was also the cause of itself and the result of itself." So what that means is you're stressed about being stressed about being stressed. It's a continuous cycle. And it's deadly. They've proven it. Stress, when you get to the point to where stress is affecting you physically, emotionally, mentally, you can get very sick. And they've proven that reducing stress in your life can help you deal with that. And it can make you healthier the more stress-free you are. So a couple of the techniques that I found great are trying to be proactive with this instead of reactive. Now, that being said is all relative, because if you have something absolutely devastating happen to you out of the blue, you're not going to be able to be proactive with it. But for example, I have a fear of flying. I don't like flying. It stresses me out. I don't like getting on airplanes. One, because There's lots of people on there, and they all could be sick. And with things that are going on right now, like Ebola and the flu and everything, I don't want to get that. That stresses me out. So what do before I get on that airplane? I have to calm myself down. I have to think, okay, if I get sick, there's nothing I can do about it. I just have to hope and pray that I sanitize my hands enough, wash my hands enough, and hold my breath when somebody coughs long enough not to catch it. So a couple of the stress relief techniques that are proven to help, exercising, doing a hobby, finding something you enjoy. Some people say that just as simple going for a walk or taking time to read a book is good stress relief, a bubble bath. Other forms of stress relief are meditation. Sex is even one of them, strangely enough. And some of the negatives that people have shown throughout time to help relieve stress are drug and alcohol abuse. And that's one of the very negative ways to relieve stress. You know, they've shown that marijuana, although it is a stress relief, it's also, it's a drug, and it's mind altering, and it can cause you to possibly hurt yourself or somebody else, just as alcohol abuse is. So for the future, one of the things that I saw in my research is the change in how we're trying to react to stress. Well, there's DNA researchers who think that possibly, maybe not in our lifetime, but maybe our children's lifetime, that they're going to create a pill. And this pill is going to actually just kind of clip out that portion of your DNA that allows you to be stressed. Now, looking at both sides of this, would it be great not to be stressed? Yes, it would be wonderful, because anything could happen to you and you just wouldn't care. You would be happy, no worries. But the downside of it is, how do we truly appreciate the good in our lives if we never experience the bad? We don't know what it means to be relaxed if we're never stressed. So one of the things that I do myself to help with stress is what's called a calming technique. And it's really silly. You always hear, close your eyes and count backwards. It helps calm you down. And that's something that I wanted to invite everybody here to do really quick. So think about this happy place in your head. It could be the beach, it could be laying in your bed, it could be anything that makes you calm. A smell, mom's snickerdoodle cookies, all that stuff. So calm yourself and think. Close your eyes and start to count backwards from 15. So you close your eyes and you say, okay, 15, I'm going back to the beach. 14, I'm sitting on the beach with my toes in the sand, I can hear the waves. 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And you're in your happy place. And that is the easiest and best stress relief technique that I have found. So thank you guys for listening to me ramble on tonight about this. I appreciate it. And hopefully my professor appreciates my effort and I get a good grade. So thank you guys.